This is a series of shots that I took of TinTin. We bought 3 coloured horses from the Snowy Mountains earlier in the year. The first 2, Max and Merlin, shown in the lead, were pretty straightforward, and I broke them in using the Jeffrey method. TinTin, on the other hand, has been more challenging. He was late weaned and has been a bit anxious. The equipment that I use is just a standard rope. It's a braided rope. You see that there's a stainless steel ring spliced into the end of the rope. This is for quick release, and it's the same rope that I use always. I built some new yards, and there's a little catching yard that I put into the yards, and this has made life a whole lot easier. Solid yards are a big help. You can also see there that the yards are only as good as the highest point, and TinTin's jumped out over that farm gate a couple of times, so I had to put in the wooden rail, which has now slowed him down. He wasn't provoked, just a bit anxious, and sure enough he'd sail over the top of that gate, taking a bit of skin off along the way. Open up the gate, usually they go in okay, and you can see there that he's going into the little catching yard quite well. You need to be a bit careful when you shut the gate that they don't explode over the top of you. It's the same with everything with the horses, just be cautious. I just use the rope looped over a stick. That's just a bit of PVC pipe. Just like that. Then I just put a bit of a curl in the end of it so it doesn't slip down the rope. Most horses won't duck their head, and TinTin's been in there a few times now, so he's got the hang of it. Again, be careful when you're opening the gate. I like my horses to walk out of the gate, but occasionally they'll come out a bit fast. Here he is, he's standing pretty well now. I've had him in a few times. He's just been a bit explosive, this little fella. Normally I'll just advance, retreat, and I'll have my hands on a horse on the same day, like a wild horse out of the bush. Normally I'll be handling them pretty well in a day. This bloke I've had in probably 7 or 8 times now, and at the start of this filming I still hadn't been able to advance retreat to him without sneaking him around a post. I don't usually sneak my horses, but just from a safety point of view, if you get one that is a bit explosive, I find it's a lot better than losing them all the time or having them jump on top of you. So again, you need to be really careful. You can see there he's hitting the end of the line. There's a bit of a jump. And this is, he's been a pretty tough nut, this one, to crack. He's friendly and he's alert and he's really keen to please. It's just different horses have different personalities. I don't pretend to be an expert. I've been using the Jeffrey method myself for over 30 years now, and you're always learning. You always need to do some different things for the odd individual. He goes back and forth, but generally he stands pretty well. You'll see there's tension on the rope in this shot. I like them to stand so there's no tension. And generally, once they've learned to respect a rope well, it's the whole key, in my mind, to the Jeffrey method, is teaching a horse to respect a rope. So that you see there, I'm starting to handle him. I'm still with the rope sneaked around the post though. Whoops. There he goes again. Has a bit of a jump occasionally, and admittedly you jump at the same time. That looks a lot better. We've got tension off the rope now, and I'm starting to handle him. Usually I'd be working the horse with both hands all over, and I did in this case. I'm just not sure if we've got some shots of it. There, I'm just changing the direction. I just flick the rope over his head. He's used to the rope being dragged all over him, and he's used to dragging the rope around the yard, and he is starting to settle and to move. See there, a bit of a cut on his leg. I mean, it's an occupational hazard as well. When these youngsters do bounce around a bit, occasionally they'll take a bit of skin off. They're just working on the other side. Starting to come in a bit closer and starting to stroke him all over. I haven't done a lot with his head yet. I mean, again, you can see there, sort of moving towards the head, largely working from the neck, wither down and the flanks and over his rump, down his legs. He's a really alert, really clever looking little pony, this. Just taking a bit longer just to get his confidence, that's all. Now, this was the first time, so he's unsnigged now, and we're just wandering around the yard, and you can see, because the horse respects the rope, you don't really need to teach them to lead. They get taught along the way, and so he leads really, really well. Again, I can approach him pretty well. He's standing calmly. It's just a matter of getting right up to him. Yeah, I've got him in a corner. They like to sort of back into a corner from a security point of view, and some people say you must be in the open, but I don't have a problem with them being in a corner. Just make sure that you're not between them and escape, though. You see, he's got a clear path ahead of him. I'm coming in from the side. I'm having a bit of a think there, and so is he. They're coming around. It's really good that they face up, but then of course the tendency is that they want to face up all the time, so you need to just work yourself patiently so you can come into the horse from the side rather than from the head. There we go, that's a good position. He's standing, and there we are. It's the first time I've got my hand on him. That's a real breakthrough moment. He's out in the open. I'm starting to handle him, coming in a bit closer. And from now on, I could say that, I think TinTin's well on the way. We've started to crack the confidence now, and he's feeling a lot happier. He's feeling more confident about it all. And whilst he's been slow to get going, he'll now come along in leaps and bounds, and I'll chuck another few photos together of him in the next week or two just to see how far we've got. There you see I'm just loosening off the rope, pulling the ring through, and the beauty of the rope is that literally they'll get to the stage that, there you go, I'm just leading him literally with the weight of the rope on his neck. More of a party trick than anything else, to be honest, but it looks good. And it really is great just to be able to have a horse so responsive to a rope that you don't need to be dragging them around, that they'll just follow literally on the weight of that rope that's on them. There he is again, towards the finish of that same session. I think I've got a few of these out of sync now. There, I'm just starting to drag the rope off his neck, and he's still following me. So that's the beginning. Well, it's the start of the start, really, for TinTin. Now I've got him where I'm happy, and we can really start to move forward rapidly from here.